This is the 13th episode, a baker's dozen episode of the Run in My Mouth podcast. I am your baker, Aaron, and allow me to run my mouth for a little bit. Took a week off, but I am back again. And yeah, let's just leave it at that. So I guess I'll start with seeing Priscilla yesterday. I haven't been to see a movie in the theaters for a while. I want to say, was the last one Barbie in IMAX? I'm going to have a perusal of my letterbox here just to make sure. I'm pretty sure it was Barbie in IMAX. And I mean, that was back in September and it's November now. So yeah, it's been a while since I've seen a movie in theaters because I don't know, man. I've said it before, I think, on the podcast. And if I haven't, I'll say it now. It feels like the older I get, the less willing I am to spend time, not really necessarily money, but definitely time on a movie or a TV show that I'm not 100% sure that I'm gonna like. So I don't really go out on a limb and watch things anymore. Whereas, back in, let's say high school, when I got Netflix for the first time, the world, well, I guess the streaming world was my oyster. I was watching all kinds of stuff. Some of it was really good, some of it was terrible. But, I brought in my horizons when it came to the movies and the TV shows that I watched. But now I just don't do that. And I don't know what that is. I don't even know if it's necessarily a time thing. Is it a desire thing or whatever? But yesterday, which was Saturday, today's Sunday, yesterday, I went to see Priscilla in theaters because I was like, oh, okay, I've seen some. I don't think I watched the trailer. I think I watched the first few seconds of the trailer on mute, scrolling through Twitter, because that's how I consume trailers these days. I never watch them in full or with the sound on. So based on those first few seconds and my passive interest in Elvis, which really not that much interest. I mean, I saw the Baz Luhrmann movie. What was that, last year? I got whiplash from it. It was not great. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, let me not lie. The Baz Luhrmann Elvis movie was just fine. The cinematography was going to give me motion sickness. It was team too much. I don't know what was going on. Cause I had seen The Great Gatsby after it came out, because it came out in 2013. I mean, I was still living back home. We weren't going to the theaters. I saw it on one of the premium channels, and I was like, okay, I kind of like this. And, I sort of liked The Great Gatsby. I thought, okay, I guess I'll sort of like Elvis too. It's about Elvis, he's this big, larger than life figure that I know really next to nothing about, honestly. So I thought I would give it a shot. It was the most uncomfortable theater viewing experience I think I've had. Cause when I go to theaters, I never just waltz up to a theater and be like, I think I will see a film today. No, I'm buying my ticket in advance and I'm picking my seat in advance. And I think when it came time to watch Elvis, I watched it with, I think, a group of people. I can't remember. It's been a while. But I chose, the optimal seat in the theater, roughly in the middle row, in the very middle seat, or the middleest seat that I could find. And it felt like I was 2 inches from the screen. It was so weird. It was just too much. Visually, just far too much, So I think that kind of took away from it a lot. But that Elvis movie, I will say it was just fine. And then you have the goofiness of Austin Butler having that accent for far too long after the movie came out. Baffled that it got nominated for an Oscar, but I think the Oscars formula is it's either war movies or biopics or period pieces in general. So it was kind of obvious that it was gonna get nominated. It didn't win, thankfully, but anyways, we're not talking about the Baz Luhrmann Elvis. We're talking about Priscilla by Sofia Coppola, who I never really paid attention to her very much as a director, but I have seen at least one movie by her, and that is The Virgin Suicides, and I thought that was again pretty enjoyable. I'm gonna look it up because I'm genuinely not sure what movies I've seen by her. Sofia Coppola. She did Godfather Part 3, which I don't think I've seen. Let's see. The Beguiled. Have not seen that. The Virgin Suicides, I did see that. Lost in Translation. Okay, that's Scarlett Johansson. I thought that was Taylor Swift on the cover for a second there, but no, it's not. Priscilla, which of course I have seen. Let's see. Yeah, I don't. Not recognizing any of this. Apparently, she does a lot of Dior commercials. Which honestly, now that I know that, and what I'm about to say about Priscilla the movie, it makes sense. It tracks, you know? And then, of course, Marie Antoinette, which I think was like her big one, maybe. And I mean, not really much else other than what I've seen or what I've just said. So, she's a Coppola. She's in the dynasty. Therefore, people pay attention when she makes it a movie. So, yeah. Okay. I'm thinking, and it does really make sense. Like, this is a person who has made a lot of perfume commercials. Like, okay, I can see it now. I can see the vision. I don't know if I like the vision, but I can certainly see the vision. So, for those who I guess don't know, Priscilla is somehow I feel like I'm being a little too mean off the top. I don't really intend to be mean with this. I don't really intend to be mean most of the time, but with this certainly I'm not like trying to be like, this is terrible. But and I don't think it was terrible either. I feel like okay, I gotta bring it back a little bit. I gotta bring it back. Priscilla is a movie from the perspective of Priscilla Presley from when she first met Elvis in like Germany on a military camp. What are they called? A military base up until her divorcing him in the 70s, and that's when it ends. And I will say the first like 20 the first like part of the movie when she's like still young and she meets Elvis for the first time and they're starting up their romance, I felt like that part was very strong. Everything after that for some reason is where it starts to fall apart, and I'm not entirely sure why. Something else I should also say is that this is based off a book that Priscilla wrote, I want to say in the 80s, called Elvis and Me. And I haven't read the book. I do not intend on reading the book, but I'm assuming, also the fact that Priscilla herself, who I kind of thought she was dead, but no, it's like everyone else in her family has passed away except for her, which honestly, that must be very difficult. Like, wow. Because, I mean, not only did Elvis die a few years after she divorced him, but her daughter, like, a couple years ago, and her grandson, like, a year before that. So it's like, it must be tough. But anyways, she executive produced the movie, and I'm assuming that means that she was okay with what was portrayed in there, so I don't really have anything to say about that. But I think story-wise, the movie is lacking a lot. Like I said, in the first like 20 minutes or so, like before she like moves, yeah, before she moves to Graceland, like permanently-ish, I guess, permanently, the story is like moving along at a decent pace, and you're like, okay, we're gonna get a movie here. But for some reason, everything after Priscilla being at Graceland is just like a series of really aesthetic scenes with very pretty visuals. I should give the movie this point. It looks amazing. It is gorgeous. Like, as someone who is like really into like a period piece and, 50s aesthetics, even though the 50s in reality probably wouldn't have been a very nice time for me to live based on obvious things. But I can appreciate the aesthetic, and the aesthetic is very much there. The 50s and the 60s, all of that is done very well. The just girlification of it all. It's all very present. It's all there, and I can appreciate that. However, I think because of that, maybe not because of that. I don't know why this is the case, but the story really took a backseat to the visuals of this movie. And like, again, it is a very nice movie to look at. Like I could tell right then as I was watching it, like, oh, there are gonna be some screenshots of this floating around on twitter.com, not twitter.com, tumblr.com, maybe Twitter too, I don't know, but definitely Tumblr, aesthetic blogs for like, oh man, those okay, I won't necessarily say teacher crush because that I don't think this really fits in, but definitely like those weird Tumblr blogs where the girlies are like role playing age gap relationships and stuff like that. The Lana Del Rey girls, those women, probably some actual kids, but those women out there, that's where I'm going to see so many screenshots of this movie from because I can just see it. I can see it on the horizon. And I'm sure a lot of people with Tumblr brain rot can also foresee that coming. But it feels like nothing really happens after she moves to like Graceland, and after her like wedding because there's kind of the conflict of, oh, I want to stay here at Graceland with Elvis, be with him, but I also need to keep my grades up and all of that, and there's that kind of back and forth. But after that, after she like graduates and they get married, I mean, obviously, I don't want to downplay the fact that there is like a lot of abuse that she suffered in it, but it doesn't really feel like there are any consequences for it because like you don't really see Priscilla like sitting with it. It's like, I'm this is gonna contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen Priscilla, oh, I don't know what to tell you. There's gonna be spoilers. That's all I can say. But there's a part where they're in, I guess, some record or record producer's office or something. They're trying to figure out the next song that Elvis is gonna make, and he's listening to all these records, and he's like, "Oh man, all of these are trash. I don't like any of them." And then he asks Priscilla what she thinks of it, and she's like, "Yeah, I don't think any of these suit you." And for some reason, he throws a chair at her, and it hits the wall behind her, and she's like clearly shaken by it, and like that's obviously very weird. A very weird outburst to have. Not the first one, by the way, I should say. This is not the first outburst that Elvis has at Priscilla in the movie. But he kind of, goes up to her and was like, "Oh, I didn't mean to hurt you. I never hurt you. Oh." That kind of thing that annoying abusive men do. Um and he like hugs her, and then the scene is over and it's like, okay, well, I feel like, I don't know, maybe I did see this last night. It's still fresh in my mind, but I'm trying to think of a point where there was any pushback to Elvis against what he was doing to her. And I can't really remember any. I mean, there was a point where they're like pillow fighting and he like hits her intentionally, not like on accident. And she like goes into the bathroom and she's like, I'm trying to I'm desperately trying to remember. But I mean that's like one. And then I guess there's a point where, I mean, there's all the times that, she finds out that he's cheating on her, or maybe not cheating on her. I don't even know if they ever was that ever like confirmed. I could easily look this up, but in the movie they always made it seem like it was just rumors. The rags are publishing rumors about Elvis and his co-stars because this is back in his like movie star days, which is something that magazines would do often. A lot of the times based on nothing, I should say. I just got finished watching a Matt Baum video. He makes all of the videos about like sitcoms and especially like queer culture within sitcoms. I recommend his channel. It's a great channel, but I just got finished watching the one about Tad Hunter and how, the newspapers, I guess newspapers, magazines were, publishing his fake cover relationship with Natalie Wood, mainly because the studios would tell them to. So I think, I don't really know if, Elvis was having an affair with, oh, what was her name? Oh, man. Anne Margaret. Anne Margaret was the first one, and then there was the other one, Nancy Sinatra. That was the main one. Or if it was just like a thing that the studios put in the newspapers to drum up hype around, an actor and an actress as they were known to do at the time. Um, so that was never even really like confirmed. I mean, okay, so there was the point where this is after I think Priscilla is like pregnant with Lisa Marie, and she like finds the note in Elvis's like jacket pocket with the lipstick on it, and she's like, what is this? And then he throws her out. Actually, no, this is before she gets pregnant. I think, man, I don't know. Before she gets pregnant, when she finds the note and he like kicks her out, which I can't even remember if she ever actually got kicked out or if he changed his mind. I don't know. There's a whole lot going on in this movie, but also nothing at the same time. It's really weird. So like there's some, but it really feels like she's just like complacent throughout the whole thing, which I mean, that might have been reality. That very well could have been reality. There was, especially during that time, a lot of women just put up with mistreatment because the alternative was being homeless and like literally on the streets because, women's lib hadn't quite happened yet. So it was either that or starving to death, being destitute literally. So like I can get like the context of it and why she might do that, but given I don't know, maybe it's because I haven't seen Sofia Coppola's movies all that much and maybe I'm projecting my own storytelling desires onto this movie, but I don't know, I thought it would have been more, you know, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? I had it in my mind and then I lost it. Like girly pop liberation. That's the only way that I can kind of describe it. That was what I was kind of expecting there. Like, oh, I thought I was expecting her to kind of stand up for herself a little bit more. Because then you're shown towards the end of the movie, like we're in the 70s now, I think. She's like taking martial arts classes. And it wasn't really I mean, I guess it was kind of alluded to if you like read between the lines a little bit, but I looked it up on Wikipedia this morning or maybe last night, I can't remember. My memory is just bad. Like, wow. Anyways, we're gonna move past that. I looked it up on Wikipedia, and apparently she was having an affair with like her martial arts instructor, but like you really couldn't tell. But I thought, the whole learning martial arts thing and kind of, being out on her own, living her own life, this would lead to her finally standing up to him at some point. And I guess she does. Technically, at the end of the movie, she divorces him, but she's not like, she's not doing it with her head held high. It's kind of like this is the last resort, like she doesn't want to. And whether or not that was the case in reality or not, I don't know. This is what's being portrayed in the movie. But it's like you know, she's divorcing him not because she wants to, but because literally who knows? I don't know. So yeah. And then after she like divorces him and she leaves Graceland and gives all of the like house staff a hug and then she drives through the gates and then it's over. And that felt really abrupt to me. That was really weird. Like it was just like over like that. So that was certainly interesting. And I think the actors did a good job. I'll say this. I liked I liked Jacob Elordi as Elvis more than I liked Austin Butler only because and I really hate it when people say this like, "Oh, they're trying too hard." Cuz like, you know, I feel like trying too hard only shows that you want to accomplish something. It's just that, if you're given the trying too hard tag, then, it seems that effort has fallen flat, which I think it did kind of fall flat for Austin Butler. But does what's his name? Jacob Elordi? Am I even saying that right? Who No, I have to look it up because I don't want to look like a silly Billy. I think it is Jacob. I literally just saw it. Yeah, Jacob Elordi. I don't know if I'm saying his last name right, because this is like literally my first time laying eyes on this man. But apparently it was in Euphoria. I didn't know that. I guess, it's yet another sign that I need to watch Euphoria because all these people are like going out doing other things. Anyways, I like Jacob Elordi more as Elvis. And I will say this. I will give the movie this one thing for the characterization of Priscilla is that I feel like a lot of times when you have like a very young woman being involved with a man who is much older than her. Elvis and Priscilla were 10 years apart. They kind of age up the younger woman to kind of make her some kind of seductress, kind of put the onus on her that she's gained the attention of this older man, which I kind of don't like. But with Priscilla, they make sure to let you know that, yeah, this is a 14-year-old. She's literally in the ninth grade. She sounds like a baby. She looks like a baby. She is a baby. Like, hello, she's 14. And I like that the film doesn't make her some kind of young temptress to Elvis. And honestly, it's not really explained very well in the beginning because it really does seem like she's just plucked out of a crowd for Elvis for some reason, because he's not the one that goes up to her first. There's like this other guy who's like some military guy is like, "Hey, I've seen you around. You want to go to Elvis's house?" And it's like, I'm literally doing my homework at this diner. Why do you want to invite me to Elvis's home? And it's a little weird, okay? Like, why was she just kind of picked like that? Probably on purpose, if you know anything about how groomers be grooming. They pick young people on purpose because they are easily impressionable, they're moldable, they don't know any better, and they're easier to manipulate. So that's probably why, but the fact that Elvis had someone do it on his behalf just adds to the weird factor. But she's goes to this party for the first time, very clearly out of place. Like, this is a child. And, it's acknowledged quite a few times that she is a child. And in the parts, before, let's say, the 70s, it's like pretty clear how young Priscilla is in comparison to Elvis, especially, in the way that she speaks, I think. Because they do kind of, I guess, age her up a little bit in the end, where she's like, seems more mature, more sure of herself, more of a fully formed person, because I don't know how old she was when they divorced. Let me see. I could look this up. I am looking this up. I'm looking this up right now. How old was, nope. I'm gonna just old was Priscilla when she divorced Elvis? What? You didn't even pick up. No. Oh my god. Do that again. How old was Priscilla when she divorced Elvis? Well, okay. Well, it doesn't really say. I'm not getting a straight answer here. I'm not about to do mathematics, but I don't know. Let's go to biography.com. 24, 14, 6 years of marriage. I can't remember what age she was they got married. They were only married for 6 years, though. That's crazy. So let's see. They got divorced in 73. Fine, I'll do some mathematics. Gosh. So let's see. She was born in 1945. She got divorced in 1973. All right, calculator. 1973 minus 1945. She was only 28 years old when they got divorced. Like, when you should be, at the beginning of your life, your, I guess, adult life, Well, I don't know. I guess some people would disagree that 28 is the beginning of your adult life, but I don't know. I'm 24 and I feel like things haven't really started yet, so perhaps in 4 years I'll be there, but by 28, she had already lived this life as Elvis Presley's wife, had a whole child, had an entire life saga happen, which is crazy. And I thought maybe she would have been in her 30s when that happened, but no, Elvis he was 38 when they got divorced. So, yeah, that tracks, because they're 10 years apart. So it's like, man, that's a whole lot of life to live in like 28 short years. Cause like, wow. But anyways, so I like the characterization of Priscilla. I like that they maintain that, hey, this is in fact a little girl. However, one thing that I found strange, I liked her characterization. I don't know if she was well rounded enough as a character though, because her only like thoughts, feelings, and desires like revolved around Elvis, which I mean, hey, if you are that age, if you're like 14, then maybe you are, a one dimensional character as a person, because I mean, just think of, either 14-year-old that or yourself as a 14-year-old. You probably only had one personality trait. And for whatever reason, Priscilla's one personality trait is that she wanted her back blown out. Like, this girl was constantly frustrated that Elvis would not sleep with her. And honestly, throughout the movie, it seems like they only sleep with one another at minimum one time because she gets pregnant. So it's like, what? I mean, hey, I guess if it was in the book, then it was enough of a thing to incorporate it into the movie, but I don't know. It's like she just was so insistent on sleeping with this guy. Like, I mean, I can get it, but it strange choice. It was a strange choice. I'll say that much. It felt odd to me. Um, but I mean, yeah. What would I give Priscilla as a rating? I gave it 3 stars on Letterboxd because I mean, I was entertained. I felt like my $13 that I spent on the ticket didn't really go to waste or anything like that, but it left a lot to be desired. I mean, if you want a movie, I mean, I'm just going to say my Letterboxd review verbatim at this point, but if you want a movie that is just vibes and aesthetics and just pretty visuals, then by all means, Priscilla is the movie for you. However, that was not enough for me. I thought we were gonna get a little bit more story. I think the story, for no good reason, takes a backseat to the visuals, and I feel like both of those things could have coexisted, but they didn't. So that's my review of Priscilla. My 27-minute long review of Priscilla. So yeah, I'm wondering, okay, so I saw that one. I was I have a list. I maintain a sticky note on my computer desktop um of movies that I'm looking forward to seeing. I put the I forget the name of it, the Wes Anderson project that's on Netflix on there, but I never got around to watching it. There was a movie version of Cat Person with, for some reason, everyone's favorite actor from Succession, Nicholas Braun, which I don't really get the hype for him. Like, that's so confusing to me. Like, why did he receive baby girlification treatment out of like everybody else in that cast? Like, is there some previous work of his that I'm just not aware of? Because like, why Nicholas Braun? Like, first of all, he's so annoying as Greg on Succession. Like, so unlikable. Like, everyone in Succession is unlikable, but I feel like right off the off rip, Greg is like the worst. Like, why are you here? Go home, please. And obviously that's intentional. What good job, showrunners and writers. I hate Greg as much as you, probably more than you intended me to. So big ups to you. But yeah, I don't really get why he's so, I don't know. I mean, people do that with just about any actor on the internet. So like, I mean, I guess it was only a matter of time before enough people laid their eyes on him and was like, I'm going to make this man this I'm going to make this man my fave for some reason. To be unique, I guess. I mean, I don't know. But anyways, there's a Cat Person movie starring him. I think that might have only been like a festival thing. Cause I mean, I do live in Mississippi. We don't get the most art housey type of movies here. But it was not in theaters around here when it was time for it to come out, so I just didn't see it. Um And then there's, I can't even remember. I guess the next movie, or The Killer with Michael Fassbender and my good sis, David Fincher. I think that's on Netflix. I believe it's on Netflix. However, it was supposed to be coming to theaters too, but I guess it got a limited release in theaters. So us brokies living in freaking Mississippi didn't get to see it. So I'm assuming I'll just have to catch that one on Netflix too. I guess I have a long Netflix queue. Uh, I guess. What else? What else is on there? The Color Purple movie. The Color Purple musical movie. I would really like to see that. It comes out on Christmas Day. I told my mom about it. She sounded like she was interested, so maybe we're gonna go see it. I hope so. I think it'll be very nice. Speaking of the speaking of the Color Purple, there was the I keep wanting to say Alice Walker. It's not Alice Walker. It's Phyllis Wheatley Poetry Festival that Jackson State holds, I think, every year. That was this past week. I didn't go to any of it because I mean, I don't know. Maybe my job just sucks, or maybe just working a 9 to 5 just sucks. But a lot of things that I want to go to are always held during work hours. Like, I am working. I can't go to these things. Like, why are you holding them at these times? You know? Anyways, most of the events for the Phyllis Wheatley Festival were held during typical working hours. Some of them weren't, but I still didn't go to any of them. I guess it's meant for students? I don't think so. Maybe not students. I mean, that's really the only other time I could have seen myself having the time to go to these events is when I was a student with an irregular schedule that didn't last all day. Anyways, it's really neither here nor there. Alice Walker was there, and I mean, that's the end of that because I didn't go. So also another person who I thought was dead. She's not. She's in her 70s. She's not that old, and she's not dead. So anyways, I think no, I've never read The Color Purple, the book, and I can't name you a single other book that she's made. Let me see. Alice Walker books. There's probably some other ones that I've definitely heard of. Let's see. No. I've heard of In Search of Our Mother's Gardens. Like, that's, I've heard of that one. But everything else, I've not. Aside from The Color Purple. I know, I'm a fake literature head. What can I say? I don't read the books. But speaking of books that I have read, wonderful segue to nothing. I'm still on the same topic. Angie Thomas was also there. And that's also where that story ends, because again, I didn't go and I didn't see her. However, I will say this. I probably haven't really talked about this on the podcast, and if I had, it probably would have been on the other podcast where my co-host would have been immediately disinterested. But I have read the first 3 of Angie Thomas's works, which would be The Hate You Give, On the Come Up, and Concrete Rose. Out of all those, I think The Hate You Give is definitely the strongest. On the Come Up is fine, but I don't like that there's a weird shoehorn romance in there. It feels really out of place. People probably agree with me, but it didn't feel organic at all. It was strange. And Concrete Rose it felt too real to me for me to enjoy it, but I also like soul destroying books, so perhaps it was fine. But some of her other works, she has 2, I don't know if they're anthologies or what, but she made Blackout and Whiteout with a bunch of other authors, so I can only assume it's a collection of short stories made by different authors. I haven't read it, because it goes more towards middle grade, and then her newest book, Nick Blake and the Remarkables, is firmly in the middle grade category, and I haven't been a middle grader for quite some time now, so I have not read it. The book is not meant for me. It's fine. I don't need to read it. It's probably great. However, I would say most of, if not all, of the books that she's written are, but I think Nick Blake is explicitly set in Jackson, but a fictional fantasy version of it. which I think is honestly really cool. You know, I myself have wanted to write something surrounding my hometown that wasn't about the civil rights movement, and I like it when things are placed. Well, I mean, I can't even really say that I like it, but I guess I've only read it, in her works, places where typically if you're reading about something that happened in a place, it's usually historical and not present day. And if it is present day, then it kind of ties into the historical thing and not just like, people living their lives in a place, because people are living their lives in Jackson outside of what happened, 50 or 60 years ago. And I think those stories deserve to be told. Um, so I did like that. I can appreciate that. I just haven't read it. I think one of the books that I have by her is signed. I can't remember which one. I think it might be On the Come Up. Maybe. I can't remember. But she spoke twice at Belhaven while I was there because she's also a fellow Belhaven alum. Both of us from the same creative writing program. Maybe I will be the second famous person to come. Famous writer. Well, God, that's not even. Is that true? I guess it depends on how you consider fame. Because, I mean, well, big name writer. I mean, even if you say Angie Thomas, are people gonna know what you're talking about? In like the literature space, they will. Also, in the literature space, they definitely will. But there are other published writers. I'll say that from Belhaven. It's just that none of them have really reached the level of fame that my good sis Angie has. What was I even saying? Oh, hopefully. Oh God, not these hiccups coming back. I hope they don't, because I had them earlier, and if they do, I'm not gonna be very happy about it. I hate having the hiccups. That's neither here nor there. I need something to drink. I'll get that later. Oh God, I think they came back. God. Oh. Anyways, I'm not gonna give them power. I'm not gonna give the hiccups power. What was I saying? Hopefully, I'll be the next big name writer to come out of Belhaven. But wait. Christ, they're back. Only time will tell. Give me a second. Okay, I think they've gone away. Oh man, that is so annoying. I don't know why. When you're a kid and you get the hiccups, it's like kind of a mild annoyance, but now when I get the hiccups, they're like legitimately painful. It's weird. I don't know why. And I hate that they happen. And I also hate that all of the remedies that you're supposed to do to get rid of them don't work. Like, I mean, the ones that, are tried and not true are, holding your breath. I don't know if that's a widely known one, but it's one that I used to do and it doesn't work. So it's probably for the best that it's not widely known. Drinking fluids, that one works sometimes. Like, I mean, it's only been a few minutes since I like got the hiccups and I like had to drink your drink and it was like fine. I think I'm fine now. I hope I'm fine now. Cause anyways. And being scared. I don't even know, like, could you scare yourself? Is it like tickling where you can't tickle yourself? Because I feel like I don't know if I would be able to scare myself. Because if I was to like watch something scary, then I would know that a fright was on the horizon. So like, would I really be scared by it? Anyways, these are questions that I will not get answers to. So yeah, but anyways, I was talking about the Alice Walker Festival, not the Alice Walker Festival, the Phyllis Wheatley Festival featuring Alice Walker, that I didn't go to, so there's nothing to talk about. I was gonna say, there's not anything coming up that I'm looking forward to. There's going to be a Picasso exhibit at the Mississippi Museum of Art. I think that's next Saturday. So that'll be fun. See a little bit of art. I went to the art museum on my birthday this year as my thing that I did on my birthday. And I will say, it was pretty nice. I like some of the exhibits that were in there. And what can I say? I just love looking at art. And they have, a permanent collection, which they have a lot of like pre-Columbian art, which was donated to the museum primarily by like one guy who like had all of this stuff. I don't know if he was an archaeologist or what, but for some reason, this one guy in Yazoo City had and donated like most, if not all, of the pre-Columbian art that's on display at the Mississippi Museum of Art, which is weird to think about, but anyways, the Providence or the provenance. What is it? Providence? The way that artworks make it to museums is often very shady. Like the museum art trade is kind of wacky. And the fact that this like one guy had all these historical artifacts just like chilling in his house, I guess, before he decided to donate them, doesn't surprise me at all actually. So, I mean, if you know anything about the British Museum, they have all sorts of things with questionable like provenance in there. So, anywho, their rotating exhibit, they have right now. I legitimately could not tell you what was in there. Well, okay, so when I went there for my birthday, I mean, I guess it was like a lot of local artists. There's this person who makes rugs, and they had some rugs up as well as some paintings. Um, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. What I am interested in is what is the process to get in a museum? Because, there were a lot of, local to Jackson or local to Mississippi artists that were in the Mississippi Museum of Art. So, like, what would it take to be put in a museum? You know? Because, like, aside from being a famous painter and, like, dying, um, what does it take if you're like not famous and like alive? Because there are a lot of not famous alive artists that were in there. So who decides? I mean, the obvious answer might be the museum's curator, but like who decides what is art museum worthy? Because at the risk of sounding like one of those dumb people that, are probably into AI art, there's a lot of stuff in there that I see and I'm like, I feel like I could accomplish these results with my own skills, which I don't think are very advanced at all. But, it's not like, I'm not saying this as a person who can only make stick figures, I I don't have any training. I mean, I took art classes in high school, but that's kind of it. And I think no, I didn't take any art classes in college unless you consider graphic design to be art adjacent, but I wouldn't, so we're not. But I had, I don't want to call her phase because I don't want to believe that I'm out of it, but I was a pretty serious artist there for a while. I feel like I could make something that, if you hung it up or print it out on a nice large canvas and put it in a museum, you'd be like, oh yeah, that looks like it could be in there. So like what's the threshold between just some guy making paintings and like featured in a museum? Where's the line? That's what I want to know. I probably am not gonna find out, but I would like to know. Where's the line, Um but anyways, I mean I don't I'm trying to think of like the most famous artist whose works I have seen in person. And if I had to guess, it probably would be Eudora Welty. Because out of everyone in the Mississippi Museum of Art, hers was the only name that I like recognized. And I only really recognized it because, I went to Belhaven and her house is like across the street from the campus. I feel like if I didn't have such proximity to her house slash museum, I wouldn't really have known about her. But I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think that's it. I saw some of her photographs are in there. I feel like I've said this on the podcast before, but I'm gonna say it again. But at my last workplace, they were in the process. I'm gonna tell the story again because I think it deserves to be told again, and also because I just feel like telling it again, and it's actually relevant this time. At my last workplace, they were in the process of trying to find space to expand a new venture that they were embarking on. I'm trying to say this as non-specifically as possible, but they were trying to find. I'm not about to repeat myself. They were trying to find that, and they had somehow charmed the pants. Well, not the pants, but charmed some guy who like owned a building that they were looking at expanding into. I'm trying to be non-specific, and there was a lot of like it used to be an office building, the building that they were looking at, and it had like a lot of old, or some kind of distribution center. It was an office building. That's the only way that I can describe it. It was an office building, and it had a lot of old furniture in there that the guy was willing to let my former bosses have like for free. And some of the stuff that was included in that was 3 or 4 original Eudora Welty photographs, which, if you don't know who Eudora Welty is, that means nothing to you. But I feel like, as far as, the historical nature of the items themselves and the significance of the items themselves, I don't think they deserve those. I don't think they should have them. And they do have them. And when I left, they were just sitting in like a dusty, crowded side office, just sitting there, And it's like, I am of the belief that most art deserves to be seen, because that's the point of art, is to be looked at, and for it to be owned privately by my former employers and just kind of sitting there. I don't know. It was really wild to me that they were able to get them for literally free. When, I mean, putting a monetary value on something like art always is like kind of a toss up, but they were probably worth like a whole lot if I were to guess. And then they just have them. So, anyways, Picasso. He'll be at the Mississippi Museum of Art, I think next Saturday. Whenever the 10th is. Is that the 10th? Whatever next Saturday is, man. Today's the 5th. Remember, but that is not... I couldn't even remember. Good Lord. Remember, the 5th of November. If you live in the UK, that is. And if you care, it's the 11th. That's next Saturday. So yeah. I'll be looking forward to that. That I have to look forward to. There's something else that I wanted to talk to, but it like literally slipped me mind. Oh man. It was like, oh. So, it's November. I live in Mississippi. This upcoming Tuesday, like what? Not counting today, 2 days from now, we are going to have what I think will be the wildest and wackiest governor's race that I will be able to remember anyways in this state. Because let me tell you, it's heating up. It's really heating up. And I kind of have no dog in this fight. Even though I do live here, I'm not registered to vote here. I'm registered to vote in Alabama, because, I still consider myself to be a resident of Alabama, truth notwithstanding. But man, this is going to be, I think it's going to be pretty close. I think it might lead to a runoff, and I'm just not prepared for Tuesday. I'm gonna just say it. I'm not prepared for Tuesday. Tuesday is gonna be weird. I can already see it. Tuesday is gonna be weird. Like I don't know. But the weird thing about it though is that it's not, it's not a conservative versus liberal type of matchup here. It's two conservatives versus one another. One of them just so happens to be registered as a Democrat. Both of them more or less stand for the same thing. They're both anti-trans. They're both anti-abortion. They're both, family values, that kind of thing. Realistically, the only thing they disagree on is Medicaid expansion, which, is a big deal, but it's like one singular thing, okay? One of them just so happens to be super duper unlikable, which is Tate Reeves. Like, I've never, at least, out of all of the, like, Trump era Republican governors that are spraying up, at least, like, Ron DeSantis is, like, trying to be likable, I think. I don't even think Tate Reeves is trying. Like, he knows, like, he is not in the cool kids club with a K. And it's just, I don't know. It's just, when you think of Tate Reeves, you think of that kid that sits in the back of your class and, like, smells like glue. He just smells like Elmer's glue. You guys aren't even doing crafts that day, but he just smells like glue. Like, I don't know why. It's inexplicable, but the man just smells like glue. He looks like he smells like glue. He seems to be the kind of person who, as a child, would have smelled like glue, which can't be confirmed. Well, I guess it could be confirmed if you talk to someone who knew him as a kid, but I don't know. I don't know why I'm doubling down on this because it literally doesn't matter. But Tate Reeves looks like if he was 5 years old, he would smell like glue. That's, you know, I don't know. Am I wrong? Am I wrong in saying that? Like, am I incorrect? Am I inaccurate? Does he not look like if he was 5 years old that he would smell like glue? I think you would agree with me. I think if you looked at a picture of him, you'd agree smells like glue if he was 5. Moving on. And also, Tate Reeves lost a lot of favor, if he had any to begin with, because of the whole welfare scandal, which is moving at a glacial pace. Like, there's not a lot going on there. I mean, the wheels of justice, they move very slowly. Sometimes it looks like they're not moving at all. That's just how slow they move. So, and that happened while he was lieutenant governor, not governor. So, I mean, he's still somewhat culpable for it, though. So, still should get some consequences for that. But who knows if he is. Man, these attack ads are just wild and crazy on both sides. Wild and crazy. Because it's like, they're attacking Brandon Presley. Oh, tie-in. Brandon, this is a callback. Brandon Presley is Elvis's, like, second cousin or something like that, which doesn't really mean anything because he was born, like, after Elvis died. So, like, they never even met, but it's still a callback. We're calling back to the beginning of the show. Don't you love a callback? I love a callback. Anyways, that's true, by the way. You can look it up. They are related. They never met, though, because it would have been impossible unless, there's the time, after you die, but before you're born. That's where all the souls are hanging out, the ones that aren't born yet and the ones that have died. If you believe in that kind of thing, then maybe they might have met, like, in the souls plane. But aside from that, probably not. I don't know. Actually, let me double check that because I might be wrong. He might have been born like the same year or maybe the year before, but he was born in the 70s. Brandon Presley. He's 46. He was born in 1977. And when did Elvis die? Elvis Presley. He died August 16th. Maybe. Well, okay. It might have been. Okay, hold on. Okay, Elvis died August 16th. Brandon Presley was born. I need the birthday. July 21st. So there was some overlap there. Okay, so he was like a couple months old by the time Elvis like died. So it's possible that they could have met, but Brandon wouldn't have remembered it because he would have been like a couple months old. So it's not impossible. It is possible, but probably kind of unlikely. I'm gonna just throw that out there. It's possible. But also, where did he live? Where was he born at? Where were you born? Amory, which is in the Delta, I believe. Show it to me on a map. Yeah. Okay. So it was kind of far away as well. I mean, cars did exist in the 70s. So if one wanted, it's not in the Delta, by the way. I should point that out. It's not in the Delta. Amory is not in the Delta. It's like on the other side of the state. But if you wanted to drive a newborn from Amory to Graceland, technically you could. It's not that far away. I mean, Graceland is like right across the border, across the Mississippi border into Tennessee. So like it's possible, but did it happen? I don't know. And neither does Brandon Presley because he wasn't there. Technically, he wasn't there. Anyways, what was I even talking about? I don't know. Brandon Presley is a Democrat, but he's like super conservative, which is another weird thing that I kind of ran into in Alabama's governor's election, because I wanted to be really informed when it came to who I was going to vote for governor for a last election. And so, these days in the internet age, each candidate for governor had, actually one of them didn't. So loss of points to them. But most of the candidates had a website. And on that website, you can find each of their, what do you call them? Not talking points. Where they stood on issues. I think most of them were just called issues. The name of the page was anyways. And a lot of them you would consider to be conservative, but they were just registered as Democrats, which is crazy. Um, so, which I mean, it's not that crazy. It's Alabama, and also it's Mississippi. Like, if you have a smidgen of liberal values, you're not getting anywhere near the state capital. So, good luck, I guess. Unless you're like, I don't know, I'll say a higher position in the state capital. You're not going to be elected to like the U.S. Senate, the U.S. House of Representatives, and I don't know. You might be elected as like a one of the state representatives, something like that. But anything like major, probably not. Like it, we know where we are. It's not. I'm not gonna say it's not possible, but I'll say it's very difficult. So it's not this election. It's not like a huge upset, realistically. If I was gonna say Elvis, if Brandon Presley were, if Brandon Presley were to win, because literally it seems like they have him and Tate Reeves have the same values aside from like Medicaid expansion, which if he expands Medicaid then great, but you know, abortion is not coming back. Trans people are not going to be treated any better. So, you know, it's probably going to get harder and harder for people to get gender affirming care here, and it'll still be impossible for people to terminate a pregnancy here. So it's like, you know, Medicaid expansion would be great, you know, because after when you're pregnant, you can get on Medicaid, but after you give birth, they cut you off, which is like when you would need it the most, because now you have like a whole child to take care of, because you know, if something were to happen to them medically, then like you're kind of left out to dry. So that's not great. It would be great to give people coverage after they give birth to their children. What a concept. But that's literally like one of the only things they disagree on. And I mean, I don't even know if this would be a disagreement point, but of course, you know, nobody likes the governor's involvement in the welfare scandal. And I mean, he can say he wasn't involved all he wants, but he was. So what's there to deny? We have the footages, you know, we have the receipts. We know what happened. So there's really not a lot they disagree on. So this kind of, I feel like I feel like Brandon Presley is only going to win because people really don't like Tate Reeves. And that's it. That's it. It's going to be same old after that. I mean, you know. And I actually looked it up because I was interested. When was the last time the state of Mississippi had a Democratic governor? Which, again, I mean, at this point kind of means nothing, these two different parties. So it's not even really, because, you know, some people like to pretend. Some people like to sit there and pretend the party switch never happened, but it did, and as a result, Mississippi has a long line of Democratic governors up until 70s or the 80s, something like that, and then they elected a Republican, and then there's another Democrat, and then the last three governors have been Republicans. But again, all of them probably very conservative. So what difference does it make? Realistically, what difference does it make? They're all conservative. So it's like, okay, cool, I guess. Anyway, I still am definitely not prepared for Tuesday. It's gonna be wild, it's gonna be wacky. Probably exacerbated by the fact that I work in a news station, so I'll just probably gonna have wall-to-wall coverage that day. And, you know, thankfully I'm not nowhere near the news department, so that kind of doesn't matter for me. But, you know, I would hate to be a news producer on election day, trying to organize a bunch of live shots. Like, ooh, so glad that's not me. So glad that's not me. You know, would I like it to be me? No. I see what these news producers go through. I see what they have to put up with, not only from the reporters but from like everyone else. And it's like, no, it's not worth it. Bless them for doing what they do. But me, could not. No, thank you. I even had my coworkers ask me, like, would you ever work in the news department? I'm like, no. Why on earth would I do that? I like being sane. I like working normal people hours. Like, no. Could, I mean, I got a price for everything, but the price that I would be willing to work as a news producer is probably not the price they're gonna pay me. So, not happening. No, no, thank you. It's already kind of a fluke that I'm at a news station, anyways. Like, trying to push me towards the journalism, it's not gonna happen, okay? I'm a filmmaker. I make films. My films are only 30 seconds long, but they're still films. They're still films to me. I can still win an Emmy for them. And I probably will. Actually, I'm getting pretty close to Emmy season because I don't know how it works for like the regular Emmys, but for the regional ones, the like time frame is just like one calendar year. So from the 1st of January to the 31st of December. And next month is December, so I don't know, man. Maybe next year, maybe I'll come on the pod. Maybe I'll come on twitter.com and be like, hey y'all, you're looking at an Emmy nominated girly pop. Like, it's possible. It is possible. And it will probably happen. I'm manifesting. 2024 will be my Emmy nominated era. Will I win? That I don't know. But nominated? 2024 will be my Emmy nominated era. And I don't care if it's like, oh, it's just a regional Emmy. It's not a regular one. An Emmy is an Emmy. We get the same statuette. Where's the difference? I still worked hard for it. So, yeah, 2024 Emmy nominated era. Oh, I'm so looking forward to it. You guys have no idea. Anyways, bro, I will not shut up about it. If I get nominated for an Emmy, I'm getting a billboard. I don't even care if I win. Like, if I get nominated, I'm gonna buy a billboard. Probably not. They're very expensive, but, you know, that's how much you won't be able to get me to shut up about it if I get nominated for an Emmy. Like, you will not get me to stop talking about it. I do not care. I will be Emmy nominated. Anyways, I think that's a great place to wrap up. This has been the Baker's Dozen episode, the 13th episode of the Running My Mouth podcast. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com. As long as it's there, I'll call it twitter.com. Do people even still use Twitter? Don't answer that. That doesn't require an answer. But anyways, what was I gonna say? Follow me on Twitter. I mean, that's it, isn't it? Yeah. I've been Aaron. Thank you for allowing me to run my mouth. And I'm gonna go get nominated for an Emmy.